Batavia was the name of the capital city of the Dutch East Indies, and corresponds to the present-day city of Jakarta. Just as modern Jakarta may refer to either the city itself or to the larger area of the city with its geographic surroundings, which taken together is one of the provinces of Indonesia, so Batavia can refer to the city proper as it then existed, with its various increases over time in urbanized acreage, or it can also refer to the surrounding hinterland. The establishment of Batavia at the site of the razed city of Jayakarta by the Dutch in 1619 led to the Dutch colony that became modern Indonesia. Following World War II, Batavia became the center of the Dutch East India Company's trading network in Asia. Monopolies on nutmeg, peppers, cloves and cinnamon were augmented by non-indigenous cash crops like coffee, tea, cacao, tobacco, rubber, sugar and opium, to safeguard their commercial interests. The company and the colonial administration that replaced it in 1799 progressively absorbed surrounding territory. Batavia lies on the north coast of Java, in a sheltered bay, over a flat land consisting of marshland and hills, and crisscrossed with canals. The city consisted of two centres: Oud Batavia or Benedestad, the oldest, the lowest and the most unhealthy part of the city, and Bovenstad, the relatively newer city located on the higher ground to the south. Batavia was a colonial city for about 320 years until 1942, when the Dutch East Indies fell under Japanese occupation during World War II. During the Japanese occupation and again after Indonesian nationalists declared independence on August 17, 1945, the city was renamed Jakarta. After the war, the Dutch name, Batavia, remained internationally recognized until full Indonesian independence was achieved on December 27, 1949, and Jakarta was officially proclaimed the national capital of Indonesia. Dutch East India Company. Arrival in 1595, merchants from Amsterdam embarked upon an expedition to the East Indies archipelago. Under the command of Cornelis de Houtman, the expedition reached Bantam, capital of the Sultanate of Banten, and Jayakarta in 1596 to trade in spices. In 1602, the English East India Company's first voyage, commanded by Sir James Lancaster, arrived in ACEH and sailed on to Bantam. There he was allowed to build a trading post that became the center of English trade in Indonesia until 1682. In 1602, the Dutch government granted a monopoly on Asian trade to the Dutch East India Company, literally United East Indian Company. In 1603, the first permanent Dutch trading post in Indonesia was established in Bantam, West Java. In 1610, Prince Jayawarta granted permission to Dutch merchants to build a wooden go-down and houses on the east bank of the Ciliwung River, opposite to Jayakarta. This outpost was established in 1611. As Dutch power increased, Jayawarta allowed the British to erect houses on the west bank of the Ciliwung River, as well as a fort close to his customs office post, to keep the forces balanced. Jayawarta supported the British because his palace was at threat from the Dutch cannons. In December 1618, the tense relationship between Prince Jayawarta and the Dutch escalated, and Jayawarta's soldiers besieged the Dutch fortress, containing the go-downs Nassau and Mauritius. A British fleet of 15 ships arrived under the leadership of Sir Thomas Dale, an English naval commander and former governor of the colony of Virginia. After a sea battle, the newly appointed Dutch governor, Jan Pieter van Coen, escaped to the Moluccas to seek support. Meanwhile, the commander of the Dutch garrison, Peter van den Broeke, along with 5 other men, was arrested during negotiations, as Jayawarta believed that he had been deceived by the Dutch. Later, Jayawarta and the British entered into a friendship agreement. The Dutch army was on the verge of surrendering to the British when, in 1619, a sultan from Banten sent a group of soldiers to summon Prince Jayawarta. Jayawarta's friendship agreement with the British was without prior approval from the Bantenese authorities. The conflict between Banten and Prince Jayawarkata, as well as the tense relationship between Banten and the British, presented a new opportunity for the Dutch. Cohen returned from the Moluccas with reinforcements on 28 May 1619 and razed Jayakarta to the ground on 30 May 1619, thereby expelling its population. Only the Padroe of Sundakelapa remained. Prince Jayawarkata retreated to Tanara, the eventual place of his death, in the interior of Banten. The Dutch established a closer relationship with Banten and assumed control of the port, which over time became the Dutch center of power in the region. Establishment of Batavia. There were 3 governmental administrations within the Batavia region. The initial authority was established in 1609. This became the colonial government, consisting of the Governor-General and the Council of the Indies. The urban or civil administration of the city of Batavia was formed in 1620. The local rural administration was formed in 1664 but became fully functional in 1682. The Dutch fortress garrison, which included tired soldiers from Japan, Germany, Scotia, Denmark and Belgium, celebrated its triumph, while the godowns Nassau and Mauritius were expanded with the erection of a new fort extension to the east on March 12, 1619. Overseen by Commander Van Raay. Cohen wished to name the new settlement Nieuw Hoorn, but was prevented from doing so by the Board of the East India Company, the Heeren 17. Batavia became the new name for the fort and settlement. The name was derived from the Germanic tribe of the Batavi, as it was believed at the time that the tribe's members were the ancestors of the Dutch people. Jayakarta was then called Batavia for more than 300 years. On the 2nd of July 1619, Cohen decided to expand the original fort into a larger fortress. Cohen sent the draft of the Kasteel van Batavia to the Netherlands on 7 October 1619. This new castle was much larger than the previous castle, and 2 of the northern bastions would lie over the sea. The Javanese people were prohibited from settling in Batavia from the time of its foundation in 1619, as the Dutch feared an insurrection. Cohen asked Willem Esperance Zoon Bonteco, a skipper for the Dutch East India Company, to bring 1,000 Chinese people to Batavia from Macau, but only a small segment of the 1,000 survived the trip. In 1621, another attempt was initiated and 15,000 people were deported from the Banda Islands to Batavia, but only 600 survived the trip. Expansion east of the Siliwung. From the beginning of its establishment, Batavia was planned following a well-defined layout. In 1619, 3 trenches were dug to the east of the Siliwung River, forming the first Dutch-made canals of Batavia. These canals were perpendicular to the Siliwung, and were named from south to north: Leeuwengracht, Graenegracht, and Steenhouwersgracht. The castle area starts to the north of Steenhouwersgracht, which began with a field just to the north of Steenhouwersgracht. A town's market was established on the field. The establishment of the 3 canals made way for the expansion of Batavia on the east side of the Siliwung. The first church and town hall were built c. 1622 on the east bank of the river. The exact point of this first building of the church town hall of Batavia is at 6 degrees 07, 56 S 106 degrees 48 minutes 42 seconds east, 6.132212 degrees south, 106.811779 degrees east, minus 6.132212, 106.811779. This was replaced in the 1630s. Around 1627, the 3 canals were interconnected perpendicularly by a coconut tree-lined canal known as Tijgersgracht. A contemporary observer writes, "Among the grachts, the Tijgersgracht is the most stately and most pleasant, both for the goodliness of its buildings and the ornamentation of its streets, which afford a very agreeable shadow to those who pass along the street." The Prinsenstraat, which in the beginning formed the street that leads to the castle, were established as an urban centre, connecting the castle south gate with the city hall, forming an impressive vista on the seat of government. This eastern settlement of Batavia was protected by a long canal to the east of the settlement, forming a link between the castle moat and the Siliwung River bend. This canal was not parallel with Tegersgracht but slightly angled. The overall construction of the canal took more than 160,000 reals, and these were paid not by the company, but mainly by the Chinese and other Europeans, partly because the company had spent for the strengthening of the castle. This short-lived outer canal would be redesigned few years after the siege of Batavia. Completion of the city wall to the east of Batavia. Sultan Agung, king of the Mataram Sultanate, attained control of most of Java by defeating Surabaya in 1625. On August 27, 1628, Agung launched the siege of Batavia. In his first attempt, he suffered heavy losses, retreated, and launched his second offensive in 1629. This also failed. The Dutch fleet destroyed his supplies and ships, located in the harbours of Cirebon and Tegel. Mataram troops, starving and decimated by illness, retreated again. Sultan Agung then pursued his conquering ambitions in an eastward direction and attacked Blitar, Panarukan and the Kingdom of Blambangan in eastern Java, a vassal of the Balinese Kingdom of Jelgal. Following the siege, it was decided that Batavia would need a stronger defense system, based on the military defensive engineering ideas by Simon Steven, a Flemish mathematician and military engineer. Governor-General Jacques Specx designed a moat and city wall that surrounded the city. Extensions of the city walls appeared to the west of Batavia, and the city became completely enclosed. The city section within the defense lines was structured according to a grid plan, crisscrossed with canals that straightened the flow of the Siliwung River. In 1656, due to a conflict with Banten, the Javanese were not allowed to reside within the city walls and consequently settled outside Batavia. Only the Chinese people and the Mardikas were allowed to settle within the walled city of Batavia. In 1659, a temporary peace with Banten enabled the city to grow, and during this period, more bamboo shacks appeared in Batavia. From 1667, bamboo houses, as well as the keeping of livestock, were banned within the city. Meanwhile, the city progressively became an attraction for many people and suburbs began to develop outside the city walls. Massacre of Chinese. The Batavian hinterland sugar industry deteriorated in the 1730s. There were numerous unemployed people and growing social disorder. In 1739, 10,574 registered Chinese were living in the Omlanden. Tensions grew, as the colonial government attempted to restrict Chinese immigration by implementing deportations to Ceylon and South Africa. The Chinese became worried that they were to be thrown overboard to drown, and riots erupted. 10,000 Chinese were massacred between the 9th of October 1740 and the 22nd of October. During the following year, the few remaining Chinese inhabitants were moved to Glodek, outside the city walls. Malaria. In the 18th century, Batavia became increasingly affected by malaria epidemics, as the marsh areas were breeding grounds for mosquitoes. The disease killed many Europeans, resulting in Batavia receiving the nickname Het Kerkhof der Europeanen. Wealthier European settlers, who could afford relocation, moved to southern areas of higher elevation. Eventually, the old city was dismantled in 1810. Hinterland. The area outside the walls was considered unsafe for the non-native inhabitants of Batavia. The area was an important source of food crops and building materials. The VOC set up a local government in 1664, but this only became fully functional in 1682. The marsh area around Batavia could only be fully cultivated when a new peace treaty was signed with Banten in 1684. Country houses were subsequently established outside the city walls. The Chinese people began with the cultivation of sugar cane and teak, with coffee a later addition. The large-scale cultivation caused destruction to the environment, in addition to coastal erosion in the northern area of Batavia. Maintenance of the canal was extensive due to frequent closures and the continuous dredging that was required. Other than country houses, most people in the Umlandan people lived in various single-ethnicity kampungs, each with its own headman. Society Batavia was founded as the trade and administrative center of the Dutch East India Company. It was never intended to be a settlement for the Dutch people. Cohen founded Batavia for trade, with city's inhabitants taking care of the production and supply of food. As a result, there was no migration of intact Dutch families and there were few Dutch women in Batavia. A mixed society was formed, as relationships between Dutch men and Asian women did not usually result in marriage, and the women did not have the right of going with men who returned to the Dutch Republic. This societal pattern created a mixed group of mestizo descendants in Batavia. The sons of this mixed group often traveled to Europe to study, while the daughters were forced to remain in Batavia, with the latter often marrying Dutch East India Company officials at a very young age. As the VOC preferred to maintain complete control over its business, a large number of slaves was employed. Batavia became an unattractive location for people who wanted to establish their own businesses. The women in Batavia developed into an important feature of the social network of Batavia. They were accustomed to dealing with slaves and spoke the same language, mostly Portuguese and Malay. Eventually, many of these women effectively became widows, as their husbands left Batavia to return to the Netherlands, and their children were often removed as well. These women were known as Snar. Most of Batavia's residents were of Asian descent. Thousands of slaves were brought from India and Arakan, and later, slaves were brought from Bali and Sulawesi. To avoid an uprising, a decision was made to free the Javanese people from slavery. Chinese people made up the largest group in Batavia, with most of them merchants and laborers. The Chinese people were the most decisive group in the development of Batavia. There was also a large group of freed slaves, usually Portuguese-speaking Asian Christians, that was formerly under the rule of the Portuguese. The group's members were made prisoners by the VOC during numerous conflicts with the Portuguese. Portuguese was the dominant language in Batavia until the late 18th century, when the language was slowly replaced with Dutch and Malay. Additionally, there were also Malays, as well as Muslim and Hindu merchants from India. Initially, these different ethnic groups lived alongside each other. However, in 1688, complete segregation was enacted upon the indigenous population. Each ethnic group was forced to live in its own established village outside the city wall. There were Javanese villages for Javanese people, Moluccan villages for the Moluccans, and so on. Each person was tagged with a tag to identify them with their own ethnic group. Later, this identity tag was replaced with a parchment. Reporting was compulsory for intermarriage that involved different ethnic groups. Within Batavia's walls, the wealthy Dutch built tall houses and canals. Commercial opportunities attracted Indonesian and especially Chinese immigrants, with the increasing population numbers creating a burden upon the city. In the 18th century, more than 60% of Batavia's population consisted of slaves working for the VOC. The slaves were mostly engaged to undertake housework, while working and living conditions were generally reasonable. Laws were enacted that protected slaves against overly cruel actions from their masters. For example, Christian slaves were given freedom after the death of their masters, while some slaves were allowed to own a store and make money to buy their freedom. Sometimes, slaves fled and established gangs that would roam throughout the area. Though from the beginning of the VOC establishment, Batavia became the political and administrative center of the Dutch East Indies as well as the major port in Southeast Asian trade. The population of the city proper remained relatively small. In the early 1800s, estimates of its population were still smaller than that of Surabaya, though it would overtake that city by the end of that century. The first complete census survey of 1920 returned a population of 306,000, compared to 192,000 for Surabaya, 158,000 for Semarang and 134,000 for Surakarta. By then the population grew fast, as 10 years later it exceeded 500,000. College of Aldermen. On 24 June 1622, company officials and 3 free citizens or burghers were appointed to the first College van Schepenen. College of Aldermen.